All right, good morning everyone. Welcome back to Harvest Moon Farm. My name is Mickey, if this is your first time here. Today I'm going to use some of my jarred up tomatoes that I've canned in past years to make some ketchup, because if you guys have been watching, you know my very last jar of ketchup, we opened it and then I accidentally spilled it out of the refrigerator. So we have store-bought ketchup now, and I want to get some more of my own made. And I just realized I forgot my book. Alright, so I'm just making a regular tomato ketchup today. I'm using this Ball home preserving kit. If you've got this version, which I don't know, it says new and updated. It doesn't have like a version number. It's on page 252. So we need 24 pounds of tomatoes, but that's fresh. These are already canned up. So let me see if I can figure out the conversion. All right, so I need 42 cups to do a full recipe. I don't think this is going to hold 42 cups, so I'm going to do a half recipe. So we need 21 cups. And what I'm going to do is drain the liquid out of these just so it doesn't take so long to cook these down. So I've got a colander here, and I'm just going to start draining these in the colander. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that actually, but I'm going to go ahead and start. And I always smell my home canned tomatoes just to make sure they don't smell weird. Typically you're going to know if something's wrong because they're going to look funny, they're not going to be completely sealed. And I'm going to run these through my dishwasher, but it's actually full. Yesterday was my dad's big birthday party, and so we ran the dishwasher before we went to bed last night. He had such a good time. If you guys haven't been following along, he turned 80 a couple of days ago, and so my sisters and I had a great big party for him. So today is August 20th. It's been hot here. The original plan was to have the party outside, and then it was like 147 or something ridiculous yesterday. So there was about 35 people inside of our house, but it was fun. My dad loved it. He had a great time. Okay, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. All right. So there's 21 right there. Oh, flip tomato everywhere. All right, and normally I would save these lids. I have a whole bunch of these, so I'm going to toss these. Okay, so this is I've got a half recipe's worth of tomatoes in here, and it's a little over half full. So I'm going to go ahead and add all of the rest of the ingredients, or whatever the recipe says. And then I've got another half recipe's worth of tomatoes that I'm going to add to here as this cooks down. So we're going to go ahead and move this over to the stove. Tomatoes, onions, and cayenne. So we need 3 cups of chopped onion. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on and just let it start getting warm. And then we need 3 cups of chopped onions. All right, so I've got 2 onions. I hope that's enough. I mean, I do have my own onions downstairs. They're just the little tiny ones, and it just requires so much more peeling and chopping. So I'm hoping that this will be enough. All right, so let's get our onions peeled. And hopefully these onions are not so strong that I have to run off and cry in the middle of chopping them. Oh goodness. Woo! A little bit, yeah. Okay, so there's 2 cups. Oh my. Woo! Man. Alright, I'm just gonna do this. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh. Alright, so there is our 3 cups of onion. Alright, so let's go ahead and stir this onion into the tomatoes. Primarily so they're not sitting on top trying to blind me. Oh gosh. Okay. Okay, 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. All right, so go ahead and stir that in. And just let this cook. So while that's cooking down, we are going to put celery seeds, cloves, cinnamon sticks, and allspice together in a little bag here. I hope I have celery seeds now that I'm saying this. I don't think I do, actually. Oh, I do, right here. Okay, oh, good. All right, we need 3 tablespoons of celery seeds. And what we're going to do is create a spice bag that we're going to drop down in some vinegar. Alright, so we need 4 teaspoons of whole cloves, so that'll be a tablespoon plus a teaspoon. Oh my gosh, if I can get my spoon in here. And then it says to use 2 cinnamon sticks. I do not have any cinnamon sticks, so I'm just going to put some cinnamon in this bag. I'm just going to put about a tablespoon. And then we also need some whole allspice. So now that I just put that cinnamon in, I found my cinnamon sticks, but that's okay. And then we need 1.5 teaspoons of whole allspice, which is about a half a tablespoon. Okay, so we're going to take this bag of spices. I'm just going to put a rubber band, get my finger out of there, around the top of it. And then we need 3 cups of cider vinegar. I don't know if I have 3 cups of cider vinegar. All right, so we're going to put 3 cups of cider vinegar in our pot.
Here's what I found.
Whoa. Siri's nosy. She thought I was talking to her. And we're going to drop our spice bag into that pot with the vinegar. And so we're going to bring this to a boil. maybe should have used a smaller pot. We're gonna bring this to a boil. Once it's boiling, we're gonna turn the heat off and let it sit for 25 minutes. And I am gonna go ahead and dump this into a different pot so that the liquid covers our spice bag. Ooh, that vinegar's strong too. Wow. So we're gonna bring this to a boil. We'll turn it off. We'll let it sit for 25 minutes. In the meantime, we are just going to keep cooking down our tomato and onion. And as it cooks down, I'm going to continue to add the rest of the recipe's worth of tomatoes. So when we're ready to move on to the next step, I will be back.
So now that all of my tomatoes have cooked down, I am just running them through the sauce master. If you guys have watched me use my sauce master before, I'm not sure what's going on with it, but you can see where it's dripping there underneath the handle. I even had my husband look at it and try and tighten it up for me, but I don't know what's going on. It still drips. So I just put a towel there so that it catches the drips and they don't end up all over my floor. But what I'm doing is dumping the tomatoes, the tomato and onion and seasoning in the sauce master, and then you stir it, it runs it through the grinder, and then the juice runs out. You can just barely see that pink bowl there. The juice runs out into that bowl, and all of the pulp, the onion, all of that solid stuff will come out that end into that other bowl so that you can get it separated. So I'm just going to run each little batch through there, and then I'm pouring, as that little bowl that holds the juice gets full, I'm dumping it into that big white Tupperware bowl so that I can get it all processed and back in my stock pot. So you can see there I'm pouring some in, and then I'm just going to get the next batch of tomatoes, run those through. I did end up getting all 42 cups of tomatoes cooked down, and so I'm just slowly removing them from the pan and running them through the sauce master until I get all of this processed.
So you can see it's really close to the top, and I don't want to try and add the salt and sugar until it cooks down just a little bit. So once that has cooked down some, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of salt, a 1.5 cups of sugar, and then we're going to let that keep cooking. We want to let that reduce by about half, or until it's the thickness of like a commercial ketchup. And then we are going to go ahead and jar it up. So that's going to take a little while. Okay, so our ketchup has cooked down halfway, and so I'm going to go ahead and start putting it in the jars. We want to leave a 1/2 inch of headspace. Then we're going to debubble it and just adjust our headspace if we need to. This is supposed to make 7 pints, but I have a feeling it's going to make more. Because one thing I didn't take into account when I was measuring out my tomatoes is that 42 cups, or whatever it was, of fresh tomatoes is not the same as 42 cups of tomatoes that have already been cooked down. So I did add more vinegar to this mixture just to make sure that it is going to be safe for canning. I also gave it a little taste test earlier, and it is delicious. I don't know what recipe I used last time. I don't think it was this one, but last time I made it, whatever recipe I used, it was a little bit too tangy for me, and this is perfect. Alrighty, I think we're gonna get one So before we get our lids on, we are hot. We are going to definitely give these a wipe so that we don't end up with ketchup. Like this one has a ton of ketchup on the rim. We want to make sure we wipe that off so that our jars seal. We want to make sure that there's nothing that's going to inhibit that seal. So I'm going to use my steam canner. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put our lid on here and let this start heating up while I put the lids and rings on our jars. As always, we're going to be using our 4 jars lids. Go ahead and start adding my jars here, and we'll just let it heat up with the jars in it. Ouchie. Probably going to have to do this in 2 batches because I don't think I can get 11 jars in here. Got 6 jars in here. We're going to go ahead and let this heat up. Once it's at a boil and it reaches the appropriate pressure mark, then we're going to let this can for 15 minutes, turn the heat off, let it go 5 more minutes, then we'll take our jars out and start on the next batch. Alright, so there's our first 15 minutes. Turn the stove off. We're going to set it for another 5, and then we're going to go ahead and take these out of the pan or out of the canner and get them on a towel to sit. All right, we're going to take. All right, so here comes our first batch. We're going to go get those on a towel. All right, here are the last of our ketchup jars out of the canner. So we ended up with 11 pints. So we want to make sure that all of our jars seal. We'll let them sit for 18 to 24 hours. Then I'll label them, take the rings off, and put them in my downstairs storage. So I just want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today while we turn those jars of just plain old canned tomatoes into our ketchup. And so now we'll have all these pints of ketchup that we will be able to use, and we won't have to buy any from the store, which will be fantastic. So, oh, flies. So, anyway, I just want to thank you guys. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you are not currently subscribed, I would encourage you to at least consider it. Then you'll know when my next videos are coming up. And I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks.
So here's a picture of my dad and all 4 of us girls. And then this picture is my dad and us girls and my dad's baby sister.